Oh, I think that you can pretty much blame it on the universities. I think that they've pursued, especially in the humanities and in the social sciences as well, they've pursued a policy of a radical leftist policy with an overlay of postmodernism, which kind of a literary criticism approach that's produced all of this. As far as I can tell, I think you can lay a lot of it at the feet of faculties like the faculties of education. There was an article in the Chronicle of Higher Education this week that just devastated the faculties of education, taking them to task for low academic standards and for possession by ideology and for basically indoctrinating people in a cult-like manner and playing identity politics and group identity.
And no free speech. They don't seem to... There was an incident in Fresno State. I don't know if you saw this, but Barbara Bush died. Okay, some professor there tweeted something nasty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wouldn't have tweeted it. She called Barbara Bush a racist and said she raised war criminals. Mm-hmm. Okay, you know, it's
yeah, well, the timing.
This crowd likes it, but I mean, it's nasty, and she's they're considering suspending her. And here's what the president of the university said. He said this was beyond free speech. This was disrespectful. Have we lost the thread back to knowing what free speech is? Yes, it can be disrespectful. That is covered under free speech. President of Fresno, you idiot. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, and you see this too. I think where it's manifesting itself in a particularly appalling manner is in the increasing how challenging is the place that you put the target. If it isn't challenging enough, if it's challenging enough, the game will be worthwhile. Well, there you go. That's the secret to life. It's like, if what you're aiming at is challenging enough, the game will be worthwhile. Well, it's not worthwhile. It's like, well, reconfigure your aims then. You're not aiming high enough. By your own judgment, say, well, this isn't meaningful. It's like, hey, man, you're not aiming high enough, because if you were, it would be meaningful.
Yeah.
That's okay, so while the future authoring program says, like, look, the first thing you want to do is decide that you're responsible for taking care of yourself like you're someone hypothetically worthwhile. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the first thing. It's like the same, imagine you have a kid and you like the kid and you'd like things to go well for them. So you got to have that attitude towards yourself,
right,
despite all your flaws, which are manifold.
And that's hard for a lot of people to get to.
God, yes, and no wonder, because, you know, most of us are fixer-uppers and we need some work, and so it's not so easy to come out with the whole self-love, which is not something I'm not that comfortable with anyways, but the fact that you're not perfect doesn't mean that you aren't worth improving. That's the thing.
I love that.
So, okay, so then the next thing is, so get yourself in that state of mind. Just assume it. Maybe there's something in me worth redeeming. All right, next thing. Assume that if you aim at it, you might at least be able to get close to it.
Okay.
Right? Or that you'll aim at it and miss, but your aim will get better across time.
And you're taking a shot in the right direction.
Yes, that's exactly it. And you're starting to move in the right direction. And even if you haven't got your goals specified properly, as you move towards them, you'll get smarter and you'll be able to make better goals. So you're on the right track.
You're starting to calibrate.
You're starting to calibrate. Exactly what you're doing. You're starting to calibrate. That's exactly it. And then the next issue is, okay, now here's another hypothesis. If you aim at it, you might get it. But you're not going to get it if you don't aim at it.
Right.
You might not get it if you aim at it, but you might get it. So that's at least you're setting up the preconditions.
Right.
Next step. Imagine your life 3 to 5 years down the road, and you get to have what you need and want, assuming you're reasonable. Okay, so these are the things to consider. How would you like your family to be if it could be the way you wanted it to be? What are you going to do with your relationships with your siblings and your parents? What about your kids and your wife? Your intimate relationship, right? If you could have what you wanted, what it would look like, your career or your job, what's it going to be, and how are you going to conduct yourself in it? How are you going to educate yourself? Because you're not as smart as you could be. You need to know some more things, because unless your life's perfect, you're too ignorant. That's basically the issue. How are you going to take care of yourself mentally and physically? How are you going to withstand the temptations of drugs and alcohol? What are you going to do outside of your work that's productive, engaging, and meaningful? Okay, so that's 7 things. It's just, even hypothetically, if you could have what you wanted, what would it look like? Okay, next thing. Write for 15 minutes about what your life could be like in 3 to 5 years. If